Something a lot of people believed for a long time, and a pleasure to have with us a guy who's been here, and thankfully for us, on a regular basis as head coach of the Griffins, and for the first time tonight as head coach of the Detroit Red Wings. Has that sunk into you yet? I mean, it seemed surreal watching it last week.
Yeah, it sunk in. I mean, there's certainly moments where, you know, I talked about driving down with my family the night before the press conference, and you drive by Joe Louis, and you have a little, you know, your heart flutters a little bit. It's something that as a young guy, you know, growing up, I was a big Red Wing fan. So there's certainly a coolness to it for sure from a personal side. From the professional side, though, I'm just real excited. It was the job that if Mike moved on, I coveted the most, and I'm excited to be the head coach.
There's so many things that will go into it now. You're right to work, right? I mean, step one is the staff. I mean, I know you're not going to discuss people, but just tell us where that process stands now.
Yeah, step one's putting the best staff together we can, and the most qualified people that are going to gel together and that we can work together as a group. And so we're working through that. Ken Holland and I have been working through it for the last week. I think we'll have something hopefully in place by the end of this week, and you know, we're excited about the guys we're dealing with. We think we're going to have a great staff.
I know you said you don't have a say, but an input on who's there. It is still an extension that you will in some ways obviously be working here in Grand Rapids with those kids that are here still.
With the American League coach. I'll have, you know, I've talked to Ryan Martin and Ken Holland about the interview process with the coach here. I don't have a specific say, but I certainly have given input into things that I felt were important things. For example, the continuity that Mike and I had. We taught hockey the same way. We looked at things the same way. We don't need to be clones of each other, but I think a similar teaching method is important.
So what happens now with your personnel? I mean, you know these guys very well. I know you're not making any decisions at this point, but you have a lot of guys here who are done in 2 years and options. You have a lot of young people coming to Detroit now.
Well, we'll get, you know, we're getting into Pro Scout meetings next week, and so our Pro Scout meetings will evaluate our current roster from Detroit's roster to Grand Rapids roster to the guys that are graduating into their pro careers. We'll discuss all those guys. Then we'll move into potential free agent targets, potential trade targets. We'll do all that next week. The positive thing for me is I think there's a great depth of talent within the organization, and we're going to need to see growth from within for sure, and I believe we're going to.
How excited are you to be a guy who gets to coach, obviously, in the Joe with a long history there, but then move into the new building as well?
Yeah, it's a cool thing. I was just at a planning meeting on last Thursday with it. It's going to be a really neat place, a really neat building. I think it's going to continue the revitalization of downtown Detroit. It's an amazing facility, so that'll be cool, but it'll also be cool to spend a couple of years coaching the Joe. What a neat building that is as well, and you know, we hope we can have long seasons, including long playoffs runs in these last couple of years.
I know when you came here, you told me you wanted to get stable for the kids. You had moved around quite a bit. Obviously, you get 3 years here. You're not moving far away. Kids seem to have a great time at the press conference, and they're old enough to remember and enjoy this now.
Yeah, for sure. It was a great day. I think from my kids' standpoint, my wife Erica, and then my parents were there as well. I think my dad was most excited to meet Ted Lindsay. That was his highlight of the day. My kids got opportunities. They thought it was awesome to be interviewed by the media and do that. So it was a real neat day. You know, we were here 3 great years here in Grand Rapids. We loved West Michigan. We loved Grand Rapids. We could live here the rest of our lives. It was that neat a place for us. But we're also excited. We're moving back to a place we're familiar with. We have friends there. So that'll be a positive as well. And I think from our kids' aspect, they're still young enough where it's not going to be anything dramatic. I think it's going to be something that's a positive.
You talked about how nice the media was to you and how that could change along the way. Is there some pressure with being a guy taking over a franchise that's gone to the playoffs for 24 straight years?
Yeah, I didn't say they could change. It will change. I know that. You know, and I understand that part of it. There's their pressure. Yeah, there's pressure. I think there's more internal pressure than external, but certainly there's external pressure. You coach in Hockey Town, which obviously means there's great passion for the Red Wings. I'd rather coach somewhere where there's great passion than somewhere where people don't care. With passion comes pressure. We're fine with that. We're not going to worry about what'll happen if we don't get it done. Let's worry about the things it takes to get it done and continue to get in the playoff and have an opportunity to compete for the Stanley Cup.
All the people who were so excited about Anthony Mantha last year said he should be in Detroit are now telling me they're giving up on him. He had a rough year. Just your analysis of, you know, him as a first-year pro under you here in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, you know, I think first of all the expectations were incredibly high. I tried to temper them early last year. You know that. I think Anthony still has an opportunity to be a great National Hockey Leaguer. He'll make that choice every day he wakes up this summer. He'll make that choice every day as he moves into next year. He'll make that choice. He had some injuries he had to deal with this year. He's got an opportunity to still become a real good player. It's going to be up to him and in the work ethic he puts in starting this summer.
And Teemu Pulkkinen's a guy who's got out of options. Do you believe he can be a guy who can find that space? Because if he can do the space in the NHL, he'll score. Right?
Yeah, I think he'll score in the NHL with minutes. And by that I mean if he earns the coach's trust to give him minutes, he'll score. He's just one of those guys that will score for sure. I think eventually he will. He's got to make sure that one, he beats guys out as we head into training camp, and two, that he's real good defensively. He does that, he's going to score.
All right, hey, I want to say thanks to you for a lot of things, but there's one thing I want to show that I really need to say thanks for, because I'm a 51-year-old guy who in his prime was nowhere near ever close enough to be good for pro, and I've got a ring because of it. So thank you for that, and really on behalf of all the media, thanks for us what you did here. And I know I kind of double dipped you with the job with Kaser on the radio, so we appreciate all the time you've given us, and I know a lot of people are real excited for what's ahead for you.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. It's been a great 3 years. Thank you.